Listen closely, because history is being made today. Breaking news is sending shockwaves through Washington and Ottawa right this very second. The global trade war just took a massive, jaw-dropping turn. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney has officially outmaneuvered United States President Donald Trump. The result is absolutely stunning. The United States Congress is stepping in, and lawmakers are preparing to completely kill the brand new tariffs that the White House just tried to slam on the world. This is the ultimate political chess match, and the board was just flipped upside down days ago. The United States Supreme Court handed a crushing defeat to the president. The justices ruled that using emergency powers to force massive tariffs on Canada and the rest of the world was strictly illegal. The highest court in the land stepped in and stripped away the most powerful weapon in the presidential arsenal. But the White House did not back down. Almost immediately, a brand new executive order was signed. A new loophole was found. A previously unused section of the Trade Act was triggered to slap a 15% global tariff on trading partners anyway. It looked like the trade war was going to explode all over again. It looked like the president had found a fast, clever way to bypass the Supreme Court and punish trading partners. But that is exactly where Mark Carney set the trap. The Canadian Prime Minister did not panic. He did not rush to surrender. Instead, a brilliant, quiet, and absolutely ruthless counter-strategy was put into motion. The Canadian government knew something that the White House overlooked in the rush to announce new penalties. That specific trade loophole comes with a massive catch. It automatically expires in 150 days unless the United States Congress actually votes to keep it alive. And that is the exact breaking development happening right now. Lawmakers on Capitol Hill are completely walking away from the president. Congress is set to kill these new tariffs dead in their tracks. Republicans and Democrats alike are looking at the economic chaos, looking at the soaring prices on the shelves, and they are saying enough is enough. The votes to extend this trade war simply do not exist. A massive political defeat is unfolding on the world stage, and the mastermind behind it all is sitting in Ottawa. The brilliance of this maneuver is not just in the reading of the law. It is in the quiet, behind-the-scenes pressure campaign that brought the United States Congress to its breaking point. While the White House was busy making loud declarations and signing sweeping executive orders, the Canadian Prime Minister took a completely different path. The phones started ringing in Washington, but the calls were not coming from foreign politicians. They were coming from the heartland of America. Mark Carney understood exactly how to hit the pressure points. He knew that a sudden 15% tax on everything crossing the border would instantly crush American businesses. So the message was delivered directly to the farmers in the Midwest, the auto workers in Michigan, and the retail giants across the country. The reality of these new trade penalties was spelled out in plain, terrifying numbers. If that tariff stays, the price of everyday goods explodes. The cost to build a car skyrockets. The markets for American crops slam shut. And the American business world panicked. The backlash was instant, and it was furious. Lawmakers on Capitol Hill started receiving thousands of calls from angry business owners and terrified voters in their own home districts. The message to Congress was crystal clear. If you vote to keep these tariffs alive, you will be destroying jobs in your own backyard, and you will pay the price at the ballot box. This is the ultimate trap, and the White House walked right into it. By using a temporary loophole in the Trade Act, the president unknowingly handed the final decision over to a Congress that is absolutely terrified of the economic fallout. Lawmakers are looking at the math. They are looking at the angry voters, and they are realizing that supporting this trade war is political suicide. The Canadian strategy was flawless. Do not fight the president in the press. Let the American economy fight the president in the halls of Congress. Let the soaring costs and the angry voters do all the heavy lifting. Now, the clock is ticking down, and the panic in Washington is reaching a boiling point. The power to tax the world has just been stripped away by the very lawmakers who were supposed to be allies. The walls are closing in on the Oval Office, and the panic behind the scenes is becoming impossible to hide. You have to understand just how incredibly rare this kind of open rebellion actually is in modern politics. For years, the executive branch has held absolute, unquestioned control over trade policy, and lawmakers usually just fall in line, terrified of political retaliation if they dare to push back. But not today. Not this time. The absolute genius of this Canadian strategy is that it removed all the political loyalty from the equation and replaced it with pure, terrifying economic survival. Right at this very second, emergency meetings are happening behind tightly closed doors on Capitol Hill. Top officials are desperately trying to whip up votes, making wild promises and issuing dark threats to any lawmaker who will listen, but the power dynamic has completely shifted and the leverage is completely gone. You cannot threaten a politician with a bad news cycle when that same politician is staring at the total collapse of the manufacturing sector in their own home state. The political math simply does not work for the White House anymore. And the rest of the world is watching this massive shift in power with absolute stunned amazement. Leaders in Europe, Asia, and across the Americas are suddenly seeing a perfect blueprint for exactly how to defeat a trade. More, the secret strategy is now out in the open for every single country to use. You do not attack the trade policies head on. You find the legal expiration date. You rally the American business owners, and you let the domestic economy tear the tariffs apart from the inside out. This means the ripple effects of this single maneuver are going to change global trade forever. The new 15% global tariff was supposed to be the ultimate weapon. It was meant to be a permanent hammer to smash trade deficits and force allies into submission. Instead, it has become a massive, ticking time bomb that is tearing the ruling party apart. The very tool meant to force the world to bow down has triggered a massive, unstoppable revolt right inside the United States Capitol. And as the hours tick by, the cold realization is finally setting in that there is absolutely no way out of this perfectly laid trap. Let's look at what happens next, because the shockwaves are not just hitting the political world. Wall Street is reacting in real time to this massive showdown. For weeks, the stock market has been on a wild, terrifying roller coaster. The threat of a massive global trade war had investors preparing for the absolute worst. Trillions of dollars in wealth were hanging by a tiny thread. But the moment the news broke that Congress was planning to step in and kill these new tariffs, the financial markets completely flipped the script. The release sweeping through the business world is absolutely deafening. We are talking about a massive, historic rally. Investors are looking at Ottawa, looking at the Canadian Prime Minister, and realizing that the trap worked perfectly. Mark Carney took a situation that could have easily triggered a global depression and turned it into a masterclass in political strategy. He did not fire a single shot. He did not issue a single angry threat. He just calmly and quietly dismantled the biggest economic weapon the world has seen in decades, using the United States' own laws against them. Now, look at the absolute chaos unfolding inside the administration right now. The blame game is reaching toxic levels. Advisors are turning on each other, desperately trying to figure out who missed this crucial 150-day deadline, who forgot to read the fine print, who advised the president to use a trade law that required the one thing he does not have right now, which is the total blind loyalty of a frightened Congress. It is a historic blunder. It is a massive, unforced error that will be studied by political experts for generations. And the clock is ticking down fast. Lawmakers are rushing to draft the final resolution that will officially strike down the executive order. The moment the gavel falls, the tariffs are dead. It is no longer a question of if it will happen. It is simply a question of exactly when. The votes are locked in. The rebellion is complete. A massive, impenetrable wall has been built right in the middle of Washington. And the agenda of the most powerful office in the world has just slammed right into it at full speed. The humiliation is absolute, and the fallout is just beginning to spread. Think about what it means to stand on the global stage, make a massive threat to the entire world, and then have your own government publicly rip the microphone out of your hands. That is exactly the reality hitting the administration today. The plan was to show total dominance. The plan was to force every nation on earth to pay a massive premium just to do business. But instead of showing strength, the White House has accidentally broadcast a massive, glaring weakness to every single competitor around the globe. You have to understand the sheer scale of the political earthquake happening on Capitol Hill. We are not just seeing a simple disagreement over tax rates. We are watching a total collapse of executive authority in real time. Lawmakers who usually spend their days fighting each other in bitter partisan wars are suddenly uniting under one single banner. They are linking arms to stop an economic disaster. The realization has hit both sides of the aisle that a 15% tax on the world is actually a 15% tax on the American consumer. It is a tax on groceries. It is a tax on clothes. It is a tax on survival. And sitting right at the center of this storm, looking completely untouched, is Mark Carney. The Canadian government is not gloating. They're not giving loud victory speeches. And that quiet confidence is making the situation in Washington even more explosive. Silence can be the most devastating weapon in politics. By staying quiet, Canada is letting the total panic inside the United States Capitol speak for itself. The trap was masterfully set, the bait was eagerly taken, and now the steel doors have completely slammed shut. Every single news network, every financial institution, and every foreign leader is glued to the United States Congress right now. The schedule is firmly set. The final resolution to permanently kill the tariffs is moving straight to the floor. For a vote, the entire world is holding its breath as the final nails prepared for the coffin of this destructive trade war. The era of governing by sudden, chaotic tariff threats might just be ending right before our very eyes. Completely destroyed by a simple reading of the law, watch the floor of the United States Capitol right now, because the final act of this incredible political drama is playing out live. The speeches are ending, the debate is completely over, lawmakers are taking their seats, and the absolute gravity of this moment is hanging heavy in the air. We are minutes away from a historic, monumental vote that will officially strip the trade war powers right out of the hands of the president. The rebellion that started as a quiet whisper in the back rooms of Washington has grown into a massive, unstoppable roar. Think about the sheer panic gripping the administration in these final moments. The phones in the Capitol are ringing off the hook with last-minute, desperate pleas from top officials begging lawmakers to reconsider. But those calls are falling on completely deaf ears. The political math is already locked in, and the numbers are absolutely brutal. Lawmakers from both sides, Republicans and Democrats, have looked at the terrifying reality of a 15% global tax. They have seen the anger of the voters. They have seen the panic in the business world, and they have made their final choice. They are choosing the survival of the American economy over the demands of the Oval Office. And as this massive vote prepares to happen, the global markets are practically vibrating with anticipation. Cargo ships that were literally paused in the middle of the ocean are preparing to move again. Factories that were ready to shut their doors are suddenly coming back to life. The massive cloud of economic doom that has been hanging over the entire world for weeks is finally lifting. All because one leader, sitting quietly in Ottawa, found the exact right lever to pull. Mark Carney did not just win a trade dispute, he completely rewrote the rules of global economic warfare in plain sight. The stunning reality is that the most aggressive, hostile trade policy in modern history is being destroyed by the very system it tried to bypass. The legal loophole has become a total trap, and the trap has snapped completely shut. The final roll call is starting right now, and the world is holding its breath as the ultimate defeat is handed down from the very heart of the United States government. The power to dictate the future of global trade is shifting right before our eyes. The gavel has just come down. It is officially over. In a stunning, overwhelming, and totally historic vote, the United States Congress has completely killed the 15% global tariff. The legislative rebellion was entirely successful. The final numbers on the voting board are flashing bright and clear for the entire world to see, representing a massive, humiliating rejection of the president's entire trade agenda. Decades from now, experts will look back at this exact moment. They will study how the most aggressive economic weapon ever wielded by the Oval Office was completely disarmed without a single shot being fired. This is the total collapse of the terrifying trade war that was supposed to bring the globe to its knees. Instead of bowing down in fear, the world watched in awe as the United States government tore itself apart from the inside. To stop an economic catastrophe, the brilliant, quiet, and lethal trap set by the Canadian Prime Minister worked flawlessly. Mark Carney saw the hidden deadline buried deep in the trade law. He knew the absolute panic it would instantly cause in the American business world. He simply let the soaring consumer costs and the furious voters do all the heavy lifting for him. And today, the ultimate victory has been fully secured right in the heart of Washington. The massive fallout from this incredible vote is going to completely reshape the balance of power on the global stage. The White House has been severely weakened, and the terrifying threat of sudden, sweeping tariffs has lost all of its teeth, because every single nation now knows the exact blueprint to defeat them. You wait for the legal expiration date and let the terrified American lawmakers kill the policy. The era of ruling global trade through fear and executive orders has just hit. An unbreakable brick wall, the financial markets are soaring, the massive cargo ships are moving again, and the threat of a global depression has been instantly erased. This was an absolute masterclass in political strategy, and the world economy will truly never be the same again.